You know how sometimes you find yourself down some rabbit hole of information on the web, like
Yeah.
just clicking and clicking?
Oh, yeah.
Today, we're going to go behind the scenes of one of those rabbit holes, Mindat.org.
For anyone who loves minerals or rocks or just shiny things, they've probably been to Mindat.
It's funny how many people use a site like that, but no one ever really thinks about, like, how did it get here? What's the story behind it?
Yeah.
So that's our deep dive today, the origin story of Mindat.org. And I think people will be surprised because it all starts pretty humbly with a kid, a quartz pebble, and an amethyst.
Yeah, the creator's name is Jolyon Ralph, and he was only like 5 or 6 when he went on this family trip to Cornwall in England, and this is where his love for minerals really started.
So he's on the beaches of Tintagle.
Yeah.
Little Jolyon finds this quartz pebble.
Not the most exciting start.
No, not exactly like the Hope Diamond or anything.
Right.
But, sometimes it's those simple things, those little sparks of curiosity that can really set you on a path.
Totally, and it's amazing how much that spark grew. Like, later on that same trip, he saw an amethyst in a shop window.
Oh, wow.
And that was it.
Love at first sight.
Yeah, although it was like £5 and 25 pence,
Okay.
which, thinking about it now, that's like close to $50 today.
Wow. So he had to, like, really, really want that.
Yeah.
Forego some ice cream for that.
Yeah, I mean, that's dedication.
That is dedication.
Yeah.
But, what's really fascinating is that
Yeah.
this isn't just a story about, a kid who loved rocks.
Hmm.
It's also about his love of technology and how those two things kind of intertwined. And this is way back, like early 1980s, when home computers were just becoming a thing.
Not what we think of today, though.
Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Like, not even close. Like, imagine learning to code when you're 10 years old on a shared North Star horizon.
Completely different world.
Completely different world. Okay, wait, hold on. Prolog at 10. What does that even look like?
So Prolog is this logic programming language. So it's less about telling the computer, do this, do that, step by step. It's more about like building this logical framework,
Okay.
almost like a complex filing system.
I see, like with drawers and
Yeah.
organizing.
Yeah, it's about relationships.
Yeah.
And so what's amazing is that his first ever programming project was a Prolog database of elements from the periodic table.
Wow. So he's already, like, he's got the programmer brain, he's got the geology interest. This is all
coming together.
Yeah. And he actually won a computer, a Jupiter Ace, in a national competition for that program.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So, I mean, did he just like immediately take that and start building what we know as Mindat?
I mean, not quite.
Okay.
Because you got to remember, this is early days of computing.
Right. Very limited.
So even with a new computer, the Jupiter Ace, technology just wasn't quite there yet.
Yeah.
In fact, just as he got it, like the iconic machine kind of came out.
What's that?
The ZX Spectrum.
Oh, the Spectrum.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Those rubber keys.
Oh,
I can picture the, like, pixelated graphics even now.
totally.
It's coming back.
So this is what he was working with. And it was actually on the ZX Spectrum that he first tried to make a mineral database.
Okay.
He was really inspired by this book called Minerals and Gemstones.
Mhm.
But it's funny because it was both fascinating and really frustrating to him.
How is a book both of those things?
It's true. So he loved that it had all this like mineral information in these like structured tables.
Right.
But obviously it was a book, so like no searching.
Okay.
You can't easily sort through it.
You can't be like, computer, show me.
Show me all it. Right, exactly.
Right.
Green ones. And so he was already thinking, like, how can I get this information onto a computer and unlock it?
Right.
So he wanted to use the spectrum to quickly identify minerals. But, pretty ambitious for the time, considering the technology he had.
Now, how limited are we talking? What are the limitations here?
Okay, imagine trying to fit this massive amount of mineral data
Right.
onto a computer with less memory than a calculator.
Oh, my gosh. Okay.
That was the challenge.
Wow.
It just wasn't powerful enough.
So he had the vision, but the tech wasn't there yet.
Exactly.
What did he do?
He kind of had to shelve the project, but that seed had been planted.
Okay.
And so he goes on this little bit of a detour.
A detour. Yeah.
Deeper into the world of programming, but don't worry, he comes back to minerals.
Okay. All right. I'm intrigued now.
So this detour takes him to the Amiga.
Amiga.
Yeah. Do you remember those?
Yeah. Amazing graphics.
Yes.
Sound, weren't they? Like big in the gaming world?
They were huge. And this is where he really honed his programming skills. Like he learned assembly language, which is about as close to the metal as you can get.
Wow.
Even created these super impressive graphics demos, really pushing the boundaries of what was possible.
So wait, he went from minerals to like cutting-edge graphics programming.
He did.
Wow. But did he ever actually, like,
Yeah.
circle back around to geology?
He did. But maybe not in the way you'd expect.
Right.
He actually started university at the Royal School of Mines.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But realized pretty quickly that computing, programming, that was where his heart was.
So he chose that path professionally. But did
Right.
he, like, still dabble, on the
Oh,
side?
absolutely. In fact, while he was working as a software developer, he joined a local mineral club,
Oh.
made friends with this up-and-coming mineral dealer named Ian Bruce,
Okay.
started going on collecting trips, shows, the whole 9 yards.
So it's like that old saying, you can take the programmer out of the geology club, but you can't take the geology club out of the program. It was still there. It was still there. So how does this passion project, how does it bubble back up to the surface?
Well, as luck would have it, the early 90s, we see these more powerful PCs starting to come out.
All right.
And Jolien, being the techie, gets his hands on an early PC laptop.
Wow, okay.
And this was before laptops were, everywhere. So
Yeah.
this is a pretty big deal.
Right, cutting edge again.
Exactly. So he's eager to learn DOS programming,
Okay.
which that was the operating system back then.
DOS.
And, he's thinking ahead. He wants to write code that could potentially work on both PCs and his Amiga.
Oh, smart.
Right. And so Christmas Day, 1993.
Oh, no. Well, everyone else is, like, arguing over a board game.
Jolien sits down and he starts writing the very first code for what will become Mindat.
No way. What a Christmas present. To himself, I guess, right? Or maybe to the world. I don't know. But it wasn't a website yet, though, right?
Right. This is 93.
Yeah.
The internet as we know it is like barely even a thing.
Right.
So Mindat starts as this DOS-based program meant to be run in that like simple text-based environment.
Okay. A mineral database, but no pictures.
Okay, I gotta know, how does that even work?
Basically, imagine a really advanced library card catalog, but instead of books, it's minerals.
Okay, I like it. Yeah, so you can put in, the color, the hardness, even the chemical formula of a mineral.
Right.
And it would pull up any matching entries.
So even back then, it was about making all that information, like, easily searchable.
Absolutely. He wanted it to be useful, accessible.
Right.
And it's fascinating because the choices he made back then kind of formed the DNA of Mindat.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Like what?
Well, for example, he designed it to, understand and display those really complex mineral formulas.
Oh, I see.
Other databases at the time, they would kind of trip up on that.
Yeah, because it's like how a database has to know the difference between, like, lead the metal
Yes.
and, lead, like, I'm leading a group,
Exactly.
but for minerals.
It's the same idea, but way more complex. You need that precision for scientific data.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then another thing he did was implement this, hierarchy of localities.
Okay.
So, this specific mine is part of this region, which is in this country.
Makes sense.
It seems obvious, right? But back then, that was innovative.
So it's like he's building, like, a digital museum,
Yeah.
like each specimen carefully categorized.
Oh.
But still, though, this is all just on his computer, right?
Yeah, for a few years, it really was his own personal project.
Hmm.
But remember how we talked about the internet being in its infancy?
Yeah,
Well, by the late 90s, things are changing fast.
right. The dot-com boom, everyone's online.
Exactly. And Jolien sees this and he's like, wait a minute, Mindat, this could be so much bigger.
Yeah.
He starts imagining it as this platform where anyone, everyone can contribute.
Hold on, he's going to share his baby, his code, after all this time, with the whole internet.
That's exactly what he does. And it was a huge leap of faith.
I bet.
This is before Wikipedia, even.
Right.
The idea of, a community-built knowledge base, it wasn't a given back then.
No, not at all.
But he believed in that. He believed in shared knowledge.
That's amazing.
He knew that nobody could know everything about minerals.
Right.
Not even him, after all this work.
It's kind of like a digital barn raising or something.
Oh, I like that.
Right, but instead of building a barn, they're building this incredible resource.
I love that. And, just like a barn raising, it brought people together from all these different backgrounds. You had geologists, you had collectors, hobbyists, even students.
Wow, that's amazing. And what kind of response did he get? Did it work? Did people come use it?
They did. It's incredible. People just flocked to Mindat.
Wow.
And it wasn't just to look at the data. They wanted to add to it, to fix things, share their own knowledge, their experiences, uploading photos, writing these detailed descriptions of, mineral locations, sharing stories from their own trips.
It's like that shared passion. It just brings people together.
It
So
does.
from this one person's kind of like, labor of love to this whole community.
That's exactly what happened, and the growth was phenomenal.
I bet. Like, how big are we talking?
So today, Mindat has over 6,000 mineral species listed, over 400,000 localities.
Wow.
And get this, over 1.3 million photos.
1.3 million photos.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even, that's more than I could look at.
It's a lot.
But it's got to be more than just numbers at this point. What makes it stand out?
It's the depth and breadth of the information, all meticulously organized, interconnected. Like you were saying, it's a rabbit hole. You can find these scientific articles right alongside, like a field trip report someone wrote. You can read historical accounts of mining operations or, even just like practical tips for cleaning your mineral specimens.
So it's for everyone.
It really is.
Whether you're like deep in the geology world or you just, find this stuff interesting.
Totally. And we haven't even touched on its value to like actual scientific research.
okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So Mindat is linked to the Mineral Evolution Database, which researchers use to study like how minerals have formed and been distributed over, millions of years of geological time. They're using it to trace the history of the planet.
That's amazing. That blows my mind. A project that started with, a little quartz pebble on a beach,
It's incredible.
and it's helping us understand like the history of Earth.
I know. It really speaks to, the power of curiosity and dedication and what can happen when people work together.
From this personal database to a globally recognized resource. It's amazing. Makes you wonder what other like hidden gems are out there just waiting.
No, absolutely.
Hmm.
What stands out to you most about Jolien's story so far? And the world noticed in 2011, Jolien got the Distinguished Public Service Medal from the Mineralogical Society of America.
Wow, that's like a big deal, right?
Huge. One of the highest honors in the field, recognizes outstanding contributions to mineralogy.
Wow.
A real testament to how far that little project has come.
From a quartz pebble to like a prestigious medal, that's quite a story.
It is.
I got to say, this whole thing has really got me thinking
Oh, yeah.
about,
Yeah.
well, it's like we might not all be, programmers or geologists or whatever,
Right.
but we all have those things, those little sparks of curiosity.
Yeah,
The things that like light us up,
absolutely.
makes you wonder, like, what could be possible if we all just kind of like nurtured those a little more
Yeah.
and we're brave enough to share them, right?
I think Jolien's story is like, it's a powerful reminder that
Yeah.
anyone anywhere can contribute something really meaningful.
Yeah.
You don't need a fancy degree or $1 million lab,
Right.
just passion, some dedication, and that willingness to share your work, to
Yeah.
collaborate. Who knows, maybe the next Mindat is just like a spark of an idea away, just
Yeah.
waiting for someone to bring it to life.
So to everyone listening, here's a little something to think about today. What amazing thing, what idea are you sitting on that, with a little dedication, a little help from others, could become something truly incredible?
It's out there.
Keep those sparks alive, everyone. You never know where they might lead.